Is the roof that is High and Lonesome, Robert Plant and Alison Krauss. Robert is with us this morning. 14 years between the two albums that you did with you've done with Alison. Was there any particular reason for that, Robert?
No, really. I think at the end of the Raising Sand period, I think we'd done just about everything that we could possibly do,
right.
And we started heading back to the studio again. But I think I was just feeling a little bit fried, and we found some great songs, but I think we just worked and worked and worked. So I was pleased to move on, and nothing wrong with the project. It was really exciting, and obviously with this new record, and I've been in America a couple of times doing some TV stuff with Alison, and it's very fresh, and the songs are pretty. You can really get into the songs. We chose, I think, considering there's only one original song,
which we just heard.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line is that when you actually take other people's songs, a miss is as good as a mile. You can either. So it was a challenge to get it, and we got it. But the distance in between seems just like the blink of an eye now.
Right.
We both did different projects and moved along, you know.
And how did you pick the tunes? Because I mean, there's a wide range of people. The covers on there are like Everly Brothers, Bert Jansch, Sandy Denny, Merle Haggard. How did you sit down and how did you arrive at the selection?
Well, just obviously, she sent me some ideas. I sent her some, and T-Bone weighed in. I mean, he's been a crucial part of our time together. He's like
he's the producer, T-Bone Burnett, who co-wrote that song with you, High and Lonesome, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's like a wanderlust of joy, really, moving through all these different songs from different eras.
Yeah.
And some of them fit, and also it's good to take Alison's style and her gift into another place. She wasn't aware of Bert Jansch. She didn't know about that stuff any more than I was really too much into Merle Haggard,
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that, just that we were coming from different places. And that's the beauty of the whole thing, I think.
One of my favourite tracks, Robert, is the take on The Price of Love, which may be the best-known song on the album, but it's a radical reworking, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tremendous. And that's the whole thing about the T-Bone connection, is that introduction at the front of the song. I mean, now I know that when you cut singles, you got to be hitting a chorus in the first 5 or 6 seconds, just to hold people's imagination and intention and attention. But with that, it's a real landscape of sound, and she sings the backside of it. It's really good.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, we're going to delve back into some of your earlier musical history here.
Did you ever meet Barry White out of interest, Robert?
No, the nearest I got to him was he played at Villa Park at the Aston Villa ground, and I was 30 miles away. But no, I know there's a lot of my pals think that the sun shone, and I'm sure it did. But later life, I've found that playing cards with the farmer over the road and the local people, that we somehow or another they keep shouting at a small object in the corner and saying, "Play Barry White!" And, and I keep saying, "Why?"
Tell us then about. Tell us about Johnny Burnett and Dreaming. What age and where were you when this came into your life?
Well, I was 12, and Santa left a Dan Set Conquest Auto record player underneath the Christmas tree, and on the top of the little auto change was that record. I mean, Johnny Burnett, that was his real pop time on Liberty Records, but before that, I didn't know anything about the rock and roll trio and all that. Train kept a rolling. I just remember now seeing my mom dancing around the house singing, pointing at me, and just kept singing, "Dreaming, you're always dreaming." And it was just it was my first initiation into the kind of pop sound.
Yeah.
Talking about strings, violins and I mean, they really did paint up Johnny Burnett. He was not that kind of singer in the beginning. So, yeah, it was Christmas 1960, and
wow,
that was my first record.
Let's hear
a bit of it.
Let's hear a bit of Johnny Burnett and Dreaming.
Dreaming, I'm always...
Did you ever flip it over, Robert, and give a listen to Cincinnati Fireball?
Yeah, she's not too tall, but she's got it all. Yeah, ain't that right? Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, that's really cool. That flip side was really great. A bit more like the Johnny Burnett that I got to know.
Cincinnati Fireball.
Yeah, great song.
Did you want to be a singer at that age? Was it already clear to you that, you might be interested in doing something like that?
Might be. Well, I couldn't understand this kind of magic weave, this spell that music created, and to be in the middle of it singing. I used to sing along with stuff and try to imitate the various styles, and I was really quite excited about, imagine that guy, Johnny Burnett, when he was around, he'd walk into the studio and he'd just got himself a coffee and parked his car, and then he gets in front of the microphone and becomes that.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole idea of that is, it's just otherworldly. So I didn't know how much it was going to affect me or give me a rites of passage through time. But it certainly has.
How's yours? Do you think your singing has changed because of the nature of the setting it's been in? I suppose it has to, doesn't it? From being in
definitely.
Zeppelin, which has got that enormous wall of sound, and then more maybe intimate settings later. So you change your style to suit that? Yeah,
I think if you can, and you've got enough about you, and of course it changes as you get older. The more mature you get, the more style you can develop, broader style. But I mean, with Zeppelin, I co-wrote 99.9% of those songs with the other guys. So I had to write the melody lines and the vocal stuff to go, as far as the voices were concerned. So you adapt accordingly.
Do you have to look after your voice now?
No, not really. I don't think so. I mean, I know Joe Elliott, my pal, who's doing very nicely in Def Leppard. I went to a gig there about 20 years ago, and I heard this terrible caterwauling out of the bathroom. And I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm warming up. I said, if I were you, I should save a little bit of that for later.
Well, he was talking about dry throat in Vegas, wasn't he? About how the desert's kind of, and he has to sort of have a humidifier in
so
your room.
you don't gargle with honey and yogurt or anything like that?
Well, Prince Charles, I was doing some Prince's Royal Trust in about 1981, and Prince Charles came along to give you a little bit of glad handing. And he said, interesting voice. Tell me, do you gargle with port?
And do you? Have you tried it?
Yes. No, I don't like port. No, but I thought it was really funny. He's got a good turn of phrase, that guy.
Right, yeah. Great.
Interesting voice.
Tell us about Amadou and Mariam. I mean, obviously, one of the things for you has been kind of, appreciating music from different cultures, and it's been a constant journey which has not ended. This is ongoing, this musical discovery. So tell us about your love of Amadou and Mariam.
Well, Amadou and Mariam are from Mali, and they, in fact, as a matter of fact, they're playing Cheltenham Jazz Festival coming up in May, and they really are tremendous. And they are both. They don't have any sight at all. No, they're moving through the world in some kind of darkness. So they're both blind, and they have this really infectious music and style, and they're just such great people. And I played alongside them in some fancy Swiss resort about 20 years ago. Again, everything seems to be 20 years ago, apart from the Human League. They're just really, really good. And the record that I've chosen is really, it's 2005, I think. It's very of its time, but there's something really sweet about the whole idea of African music, as it ends up in Chicago blues, or it makes its journey across into American what became American culture. The actual softness and gentleness of a lot of African singing is so beautiful.
Okay.
It's really good.
Well, let's hear a bit of Mbeef.
Beef, Amadou and Mariam, a favourite of Robert Plant, who's with us. So, what's been? I mean, have you, like many other, working musicians, has lockdown these last couple of years been a strange period for you?
Oh, unbelievable! Yeah, some self-realizations. Really, I'm not really sure whether I'm keen on myself at all because I just didn't know. Nobody had ever put the brakes on.
Yeah,
and I think I've always been quite happily following sort of the yellow brick road. I've just been keeping the light fantastic for all those years.
Yeah.
Just moving from gig to gig, from project to project, with an open mind to anything that might come along that's musically exciting. And I've spent so much time with so many different kinds of people, musicians, that it's always been really colourful for me. It's been very, very odd. Fortunately, the local brewery used to do some surreptitious deliveries in the dark. And a bag in a box never hurts anybody. It just depends on how many boxes there are. But, it was tough. I mean, they got in the way of the aerobics for a while.
Of course. But did you do a lot of stomping on Kimber Edge?
Matter of fact, I got myself a Fern ticket when I was 14. And so I've got a right of passage there. Yeah, how do you know about that? Is that with Adventures with Noddy in the bird world?
Well, no, I know, and that's kind of your patch in it, Kinver, and I think, so it's a beautiful spot, those rock houses.
Yeah, it's on the edge of the Black Country. It's almost like the sort of, I'd say the Beverly Hills of the Black Country, really. Yeah.
I suppose,
not far from the Golden Temple,
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Right, yeah. I mean, we talked about your love of all kinds of different music and this journey that you're still on, but it all goes back to the blues, which is why the song you've chosen as your everything is a Robert Johnson tune.
Yeah. Well, going through all the kind of pop culture in the early to mid-'60s, we were all trying to play this R&B stuff like John Lee Hooker sing. And it's funny because in the charts in those days, they used to have visible charts in the NME and stuff like that. It was amazing to find Jimmy Reed and John Lee Hooker actually making the top 30 in single sales, but behind it all comes this huge, magnificent reading of Black America and all the kind of terminologies and the mystery of a culture that we knew nothing about. I mean, living in England, as you know, when I was a kid, there was a little bit of blue beat, which became ska, and that was magnificent coming from the West Indies. But we had no idea this other thing, and the stories that came from the Robert Johnson legend. So one minute there was nothing like that in my life, and the next minute I had this record on called Kings of the Delta Blues when I was at school. And I heard really the bedrock of so much R&B and so much, rock and roll coming right out of Robert Johnson. Even his vocal intonation got so much of Elvis in there, or Elvis had got so much of that. It was just an amazing guy.
Yeah. Well, let's see it.
We're going to finish with a little bit of Robert Johnson and then Preaching Blues. And playing live again later on this year, Robert.
Yeah, it looks like it. I think we're going to be me and Alison are going to be in Hyde Park.
Yeah. 26th of June?
Yeah, and more than that, I cannot say. I don't know.
All right. Well, we'll play Robert Johnson. We hope to see you soon. And thanks for your Six Music show over Christmas as well.
Yes.
Yeah, isn't he a lucky boy? I get to do all these things. I can show off my beautiful music that keeps me going.
Indeed.
And drives me nuts at the same time. Well, it's good to talk to you guys. I'll see you soon.
See you soon, Robert. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.